Commanders
Sure.
versus Packers. We mentioned that threes we're calling the line 3.5. There's still some threes out there, but it's moving up here. So I would say we've moved off of the key number and we're now into 3.5 territory. Over under 48. What was your takeaway from these two teams week one, and what do you break down on this game?
So on paper, obviously we've got a good matchup Thursday night, Andy. Both teams victorious in week one. And when I look at those games, those week one games for these two teams, it was clear to me, and I think to anybody who breaks it down, both the Commanders and the Packers benefited from their respective opponents being pretty inept offensively. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but the Lions' early down success rate was just horrible against the Packers. They were just not gaining any yards on first and second down. Jared Goff, you look at the box score, 31 of 39. You think, oh, that's pretty efficient. It's a high completion percentage. It was one of the least effective 31 of 39 passing performances that you'll ever see in this league. Overall, for the week, the Lions were fourth worst in the league at just 3.8 yards per play. Then let's talk about the Commanders' 21-6 victory over the Giants. I think if we took a live look at Giants Stadium right now, Andy, we'd still see Russell Wilson in that offense trying to score from the 1 yard line. My word, the Giants offense was even worse than the Lions offense. It ranked third worst for week one at 3.7 yards per play. So even though these two teams, the Packers and Commanders, let's now look ahead to Thursday, even though these two defenses combined to give up just 19 points in week one, I'm not exactly sure how good these two defenses are because the opponents were just so bad. And was it more what these defenses could do? Or was it just that the Lions offense is going to take a massive step back without Ben Johnson and then the Giants offense just plain stinks? What I can tell you for certain is that both defenses, the Commanders and the Packers, really benefited from red zone inefficiency by the respective opponents last week. The Giants scored 3 points off 2 drives that got inside the 5 yard line. The Lions against the Packers scored just 6 points on 3 red zone trips. So, you would expect you allow the opponent to get that far down the field, you're going to give up more points than that. I get that Micah Parsons is the shiny new toy in Green Bay, and he definitely had an impact on that game against the Lions. But tougher assignment here for the Packers defense going against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders offense that put up 432 yards in week one. And remember, the offense is terrible, but the Giants defense is an outstanding front four, and the Commanders offense, number 2 for the week, averaging 6.6 yards per play. They've scored at least 20 points in all but 2 games with Daniels as a starter going back to the beginning of last year. I also like how the Packers offense looked last week with a healthy Jordan Love. You remember, he was injured most of the year, Andy, and the receivers were dropping a lot of passes. Those receivers have better hands. Love stays healthy. I like what this Packers offense is going to do. They averaged 5.7 yards per play last week and did not need to do much after they scored 17 points on those first 3 drives. So my take here, guys, 2 good offenses. I'm not sure about either defense in this game. Over is my initial lean towards Commanders and Packers.
All right, it's $5 Tuesday. Brian, what do you have up for clients?
Well, wouldn't you know, Andy, I have a play up for $5. And it is a 4% best bet for NFL Week 2, guys. I mentioned it at the outset. Went 6-2 in football last week. I'll take that every week. I can go 6-2 every week, Andy. I'd be a very happy man. And 3-1 in college, 3-1 in NFL. As far as the NFL goes, our 4% best bet in week 1 office was the Packers over the Lions. And I think this best bet that I've got here, locked and loaded for week 2, will be just as good, quite frankly. What we always try to do, we did this last year, if you were on board with me last year in football season, with $5 Tuesday, what I try to do is just get in on a line that I think is the best. It's not going to get better. The number's not going to get better throughout the week. I think that's the case with what I've got here. 23, 12, and 1 all sports run, Andy, for me over the last, 2+ weeks, and then up 45.1 units going back to late May. We hit 66% of our football plays last year in September, guys. So really no surprise that we went 6-2 last week. WT.buzz/BP.